Infidelity is no longer viewed by many women as something shameful, as it once was. On the contrary, forums, social media platforms, and public women's groups are filled with similar narratives. I left my husband for another man. I found in a new relationship what my husband could never give me. What is striking is that these stories are often met not with condemnation, but with waves of encouragement and applause. Well done. Follow your heart. Just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean you belong to him. The numbers themselves are hardly reassuring. Some studies suggest that female infidelity is no longer an isolated phenomenon, but a rate that continues to rise year after year. For the man who dreams of a simple, stable relationship, this reality feels not only worrying, but deeply confusing. Yet instead of stopping at anger or moral judgment, a deeper question deserves to be asked. Why does a woman choose infidelity in the first place? Most often, she is searching for something she feels is missing, for a void to be filled, for a sense of desire, or for a promise of happiness. The harsh paradox lies here. What she seeks through infidelity is precisely what she is least likely to attain. Beyond catchy slogans, there are profound psychological and emotional reasons that make a woman who cheats, in most cases, far less happy than she imagines. 4 fundamental reasons explain why. 1. Fragile foundations and the likelihood of collapse. Whether we are speaking about a marriage with children or a casual romantic relationship, once infidelity enters the picture, it strikes at the very foundation. Infidelity has long been associated in the collective mind more with men than women, not necessarily because men cheat more, but because they often treat extramarital affairs with a certain carelessness. Women, on the other hand, tend to approach infidelity with far greater planning and secrecy. A second phone, a hidden social media account, meetings in places far from familiar eyes. Everything appears carefully controlled, as if the truth could be buried forever. But the truth rarely stays hidden. Sooner or later, cracks appear and suspicions arise. Some men do forgive, even tolerating the intolerable, often out of fear of loss or low self-esteem. Yet patience is not infinite. Over time, love erodes, replaced by aversion and disgust. Either the man eventually breaks and leaves, or the woman walks away from a relationship in which neither she nor her partner retains self-respect. In both cases, the outcome is the same: emotional emptiness and a series of fleeting relationships with people who see her as nothing more than a temporary opportunity. 2. A toxic past that never truly disappears. Let us assume a rare scenario. A man willing to endure without limits. His self-confidence is shattered, his fear of abandonment paralyzing. Does this mean life will continue normally? Of course not. The relationship turns into a minefield. Even the calmest man, one who avoids confrontation, will begin to defend himself in the only way he knows: control. Checking her phone, subtle interrogations, sudden jealousy, heavy silences followed by explosive arguments. Daily life becomes a mix of tension and suspicion. The woman may believe the solution lies in starting over with another man, but the past is rarely erased. A careless remark, a mutual acquaintance, an old message. One small detail is enough to reopen the file. From that moment on, doubt is born, even without real cause. The same anxiety, the same caution, the same oppressive shadow, only with a different partner. Faces change, but the core remains poisoned. 3. A distorted view of men and relationships. A woman may reach a stage where she feels no guilt at all. A broken family does not trouble her, criticism does not affect her, and her conscience remains silent. Yet one thing cannot be denied: her perception of men steadily changes and deteriorates with each new relationship. The mechanism is simple and brutal. Each ending opens the door to another beginning. 1, 2, 5, 10. As long as she is young and attractive, options seem endless. A seductive illusion forms. I am special. Men line up for me. But this abundance is precisely what becomes destructive. When replacements are always available, the value of each individual approaches zero. Why commit if someone better might appear tomorrow? With time, youth fades, attention wanes, and options narrow. Then she realizes she has lost the ability to build anything lasting. How can she trust after leaving behind a trail of betrayals and broken bonds? How can she invest emotionally when an inner voice keeps whispering that everything is temporary? The ending is often inevitable, prolonged loneliness, or a desperate attempt to cling to a lesser relationship, not because no alternatives exist, but because she has lost the capacity to truly hold on to anyone. 4. Conflict with the self. A woman may convince herself that infidelity is freedom, that she owes no one anything, that her body is her own choice. Contemporary culture readily supplies slogans to support this narrative. Yet, deep inside, a quiet voice remains, one that cannot be silenced. A voice that reminds her of promises made, trust broken, and the person she once hoped to be. Psychology calls this state cognitive dissonance, the conflict between seeing oneself as good and knowing, deep down, the reality of one's actions. To ease this pain, she begins constructing defenses, excuses, blaming her partner, minimizing the importance of the relationship itself. But defense requires energy, immense energy, and this constant inner struggle is exhausting.